wanted to record this video so we can address some of the questions we've been getting in the comments on the last ID Buzz videos.
And I want to show you how we've tapped into the vehicle battery to give us a huge 77 kilowatt hours for our leisure battery. I always say the best thing about YouTube is the comments.
And the worst thing about YouTube is the comments.
So it appears our ID Buzz has been stirring you guys up in the comments. So we wanted to take this time to run through some of the questions and comments that you've had. So we've come to somewhere beautiful for our Thursday lunch club this week.
This is the Ouzel Valley Park and it's less than 2 miles from our house.
So size has been the #1 topic in the comments. Look, we know it's small, it's a micro camper. We knew that from the start. It was actually going to be a second car, that's all it was. We were looking for a second car that was to be an electric car that could do over 200 miles and that we could convert to an occasional camper van, and we think we found the perfect one. A lot of you think we're actually chopping in our main van for this. Our 9-metre Swift Contiki van, we love it. We spent 3 months of our lives in there, and that's going nowhere. This is just an addition.
Obviously, it's not the size that matters, it's how you use it. And we're planning to use this instead of a second car. We didn't use the Tesla very much, the second one. We weren't putting a lot of miles on it, so we were looking for something that could cross the bridge and be a second car, but also be a little mini adventure van. Today's mini adventure is to use it as a day van. I've packed a picnic into the fridge. We've come to this beautiful spot and we're going to enjoy our Thursday lunch club here.
So what do we got for lunch, Linz?
Well, I popped to Sainsbury's this morning and we have a Spanish omelette with chorizo. We have some lamb and chicken koftas. And we have some spiced lamb and chicken pastries. And I've got some cold bits and pieces to go with it. There's a lot of packaging with today, but I think it'd be nice.
Right, whilst Lindsay's cracking on with lunch, let's talk about the second most popular question we've had, and that's about the weight of this thing. Let me run you through some numbers here. When we bought it as a cargo van, it had a payload of 607 kilograms. We then stripped out the bulkhead and the floor and the side panels, and that then got us a 700 kilogram payload. Then I took it to Horizon Roofs to have the pop top fitted. They cut that roof out, put the new roof on, and that weighed 40 kilos. So we now had 660 kilograms of payload to do the conversion. Now John waved his magic. He used lightweight materials like the airply, and after he'd put the Clayton in there and the fridge in there, it still only came to 260 kilograms for the van. So then when we took it to the weighbridge, we still had 400 kilograms of payload. Now a few of you said that we should be in the van when you weigh it. Well, that isn't the case. Motorhome manufacturers don't have people in the van when they weigh them. But what VW do is they usually allow 75 kilograms per person, and I'll take that. So there's 3 seats, there's 3 berths on that thing. So if we was to allow 225 kilograms, we'd still have 175 left, which is plenty for this, it really is. So weight, not an issue.
I've got some really beautiful Chardonnay in the fridge that we've got left over from the Wine 52 deal that we had last week. But I'm going to stick with a flavoured water because it is midweek and it is midday. And I just go red and sweat.
Cheers, my love.
Well, that only took about 5 minutes to warm everything up.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's a low wattage air fryer, just 900 watts?
Yep, and everything feels hot enough to me.
Right. And it wasn't pulling much power from the battery either. Perfect. Well, this is an amazing spread. You've done well. Thank you, my love. Awesome. I just suggested, we'll do Thursday lunch club in the van, and you've gone and knocked it out of the ballpark.
I was all set for scrambled egg on toast, but,
So great use as a day van, as well as a second car, as well as an occasional camper van.
We actually picked up this ham when we were in Italy a month ago. Still good.
Okay, next is cost. I did put the cost of the conversion in the last video that I did of it, which was 27,895, I believe John has done. And that's going to include the Horizon roof, which isn't cheap, and the Clayton Power Pack, which again isn't cheap. But listen, stick around, because later on in the video I've got a code to give you 10% off any Clayton Power Pack or their accessories. Now that price is plus the base vehicle. We paid full money for ours last year, but the EV market in the last year has taken quite a bit of a drop. So you can pick these things up now for about 28 grand plus the VAT, which will make the build around about 60,000. Now I appreciate not everyone's got 60,000 pounds to put onto a camper van or into a build, but if you are one of those people, it is something to consider instead of maybe a Transporter or something similar. The next one's about it being an electric vehicle. Now, there's a lot of electric car haters out there, and there's a lot of people apprehensive about it. We've owned electric vehicles for over 10 years now, and I probably spent the first couple of years sticking up for them and arguing, but I can't be bothered to argue anymore. if an electric vehicle isn't for you, that's fine, stick with the diesel. I'm not a tree hugger. I'm not here to preach to you about saving the world. There's plenty of other people out there doing that. We just love our electric vehicles and how easy they make our lives. So we may want to show you that in the videos of the Buzz, and we'll show you how easy it is to charge. And don't get me wrong, if we have problems charging, we'll show that as well. Okay, next let's talk about the power and how that Clayton is pulling the energy from the bottom battery. The Clayton's a 2 kilowatt hour battery pack in it, and it's got a 3 kilowatt inverter in it. So it can run things like the air fryer and the induction hob at the same time. But what happens if that gets flat? Well, we've got a 330 watt solar panel on the roof, and that's going to be the best thing to charge it. However, should there be no sun out, like there is a lot in this country, or it'd be dark, or we just need a pull power from the bottom battery, if you just turn the ignition on and then it starts to charge. Now the Clayton can charge at 50 amps. However, VW have recently signed that Clayton can officially get used in here, said they need to lower it to pull just 30 amps from the bottom battery. So that's an 82 kilowatt hour battery with 77 kilowatt hours of usable power. So even if the Clayton was completely flat and the Buzz was completely full, by charging the Clayton, it's only going to take 2 kilowatt hours from the big battery, and I'll still have 75 usable kilowatt hours of battery power in this. This is a great way. This is fully electric. And you've also asked about heating. I've currently got no heating in there, and what I'm hoping to do, and I'm only really going to know in the winter, is that we can just turn the heater on in the front, and the vehicle's small enough that it'll warm the whole van up. But we'll have to find that out in the winter when we go when it's really cold.
The other question that comes up about power is how far we can go between charges. At the weekend, I drove 2.5 hours down to Camper Van Camp Out and 2.5 hours back without needing to charge.
So those of you who haven't seen the Clayton, there it is there, tucked in the cupboard, nice and neat, very small unit. But we went to Transport HQ to see Andy and to pick the Clayton up last month, and he explained to me why he was ripping all his Victron gear out of his camper van and replacing it with one of these. So this has got Victron in, is it?
Currently.
And this is your own van that you use when you're travelling with your own family?
Yeah, well, it's very much a marketing tool again, because a lot of the parts that are on this we supply, so Navis wheels, our own headlights, arch trims, various different bits inside all come from us. So we use it as a development and marketing vehicle. But yeah, it has the added advantage that it sleeps 6 people.
So it's a family camper van for you as well, that you can put through the business.
Depends who's watching.
So we've got Victron in our big van.
Yeah.
Right now, our little van, we are also going to go to Clayton.
Yeah.
So why are you doing the switch?
So a few reasons really. Anybody that's seen a full Victron system will see how complex it is and how much footprint it takes up, and also how heavy it is.
Right.
And so in the use of this, never is the battery drop below 60%. We've never had the reason to. So when we built this, Clayton Power didn't exist. Or they did exist, but purely for the commercial market. They hadn't really been discovered for how good they are for the leisure industry.
Yeah, I know they were doing ambulances and stuff like that.
Various things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they hadn't really been discovered for the leisure industry, which is they're actually over-engineered but perfect for the leisure industry. So on our last trip away to Lake Garda, something on this didn't work, and the air conditioning wasn't working. You know how awful that is, and children are moaning. And I'm kind of Bluetooth connect to all the different devices to try and figure out why it's not working, to reset it. Now I can kind of figure that out, but your average person can't. So I just thought, well, 1, it takes up loads of space. 2, it's really heavy. 3, I don't need it all. And now Clayton Power have also got the unit, but an additional battery pack coming very soon.
Right.
It makes sense to me to take the Victron system out of this, put an LPS 3000 in with an additional battery, and then you can continue to add those batteries. So if we then decided it still wasn't enough storage, we could add to it.
Yeah.
But I'm confident a 3000 unit and the additional battery pack will be more than enough for us.
Yeah.
Easy to control, easy to connect to, takes up less space, takes up less weight. So we're in the next few weeks we're going to do a video on this where we're going to rip it all out, weigh it all, show the size and space that the Victron system's taken up,
Brilliant.
Get it on some scales, show the size and weight of the Clayton system, put all that back in and show how much space that's taken, and just give a real comparison of how it would be between the two.
Awesome.
Perfect. And we're obviously going to put the Clayton in our ID Buzz, but we're going to use the bottom battery as the backup battery for the Clayton. So we're going to be charging the Clayton from the base battery.
Yeah, you have it solar?
Yeah, we're having some solar, but
Yeah.
the solar can only charge the Clayton and not the base battery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the beauty with the Claytons is how quick they charge DC-DC and also from your solar. So, I mean, you don't have a combustion engine with an alternator that's going to charge it,
Yeah.
but you also have the ability to, if you're sitting at home, well, your solar's going to be on there constantly. So if it's just you're going to the supermarket in it, or it's sitting on the drive, it's constantly charging that Clayton Power unit up.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you have run it low for whatever reason and you're just about to go on a couple of day jaunt, you can just plug it into your mains at home and get it to full power anyway to charge that Clayton unit.
Yes.
But you're having a 3000 unit, which means you've got a 3000 watt inverter, which means you can run anything in that up to 3000 watts. So
Yeah, be perfect for us.
induction hobs, any of the electrical appliances.
Hair straighteners.
Air fryer?
Air fryers are the future. That's what
Right.
everybody's talking
We've
about.
just got a new 900 watt one, so it's actually low wattage, so it's ideal for the camping industry, you know?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, they're game changing.
Yeah.
Because you're heating this switch space, aren't you? Instead of this switch space.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
sold
air
on
fryer
it.
mad, right? I'm
Yeah.
sold on the big time.
So
Right.
am I. It's terrible, isn't it?
Steve doesn't cook, but he uses the air fryer.
Right.
Because
never
men can do that, can't they? Open a drawer, chuck it in, close the drawer.
Whack some
press the
sausages in, press the button, that's me. Flip a burger on the Barbie, that's me. But, yeah.
Yeah, so they're perfect for that application, for what you're looking for. It will sit. It's compact for what you get. If you compare the size of a 3000 unit to what that would be if it was in Victron, or not just Victron. I mean,
Yeah, sure, we'll
picking
just use
them-
it 'cause they are
they're the industry
Yeah.
leaders.
Industry
but if you-
leaders.
but
They're
if you-
what we have already.
Yeah.
But if you were talking separates, what goes into that unit would take up so much more space in the Buzz and weight. And as we know with the ID Buzz, is weight's the key. And
Yeah.
your footprint, the space you've got to put everything is key.
And also picking up on that, the individual components would be a lot more expensive than the.
Well, they certainly would
the-
be more expensive. Yeah, Phil was
Yeah.
saying that if you had to buy the separate MPPTs, you had to buy all the separate components in a Victron compared to, because I mean the Claytons aren't, what are they, about $3,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but to buy all the individual components,
It's going to cost you more than that.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing to bear in mind with that is not only the footprint, but the time it takes to install it. So if you're an installer or you're a customer that's paying labour
Yeah.
on somebody installing that, it's everything's there ready to go. It's drop in. It can be installed in an hour or so. Now, if you're having a conversion done by a company and they've not only have you got to buy all the Victron or whoever you're using, and it takes them a day and a half to install that system, but you're paying them the labour for that day and a half. So it saves you money in that alone.
Yeah.
And if you're a late guarder like you were and you're trying to troubleshoot something going wrong on all the individual components,
Yeah.
makes more sense just to have a Clayton.
Yeah, and people have said this before, but what if something fails in the Clayton? Not that I've known of it happen, but they still work independently. So let's just say your solar input did fail on your Clayton. The other things work. Your DC fails. The other things still work.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's done, it's gone, it's done. You're stuck in late guarder with no aircon and it's broken.
And I saw Urban Arc Overland's video on the Clayton where he rang the support team and they answered straight away as well. So
they're
at the end of the
brilliant.
phone, yeah.
And their warranty is like second to none. If we ever have had like a conversion company that's gone to fit something that's wrong, we send them a new unit. Clayton send us a new unit the same day. It's like there's no questions. It's like, okay, get it back. We'll arrange to get it back to you. We'll send them a replacement. So the conversion companies love it from that
Perfect.
point of view. But the other thing doesn't particularly matter in your application because wouldn't be running gas. But Clayton have so much power that you don't need to have gas. Now, if you've got a transporter sized vehicle and you want to go into have to have a gas install or underslung LPG or a gas locker, it takes up time to install, takes up weight.
And it's hard to get gas nowadays. I had to get some this morning before dropping the van back.
And LPG, if you have underslung LPG, that's hard to find now.
Yeah.
And there's obviously safety elements to it as well. But yeah, I think gasless is the future.
Yeah, induction hob, air fryer, boom.
Yeah, there you go. Loves his air fryer.
So this is the Clayton unit that's going to power our ID Buzz. And what's the spec of it?
So this is a LPS2 3000 unit, so the 3000 kilowatt unit. This is the most popular one that people put in camper conversions. It's got double the battery size of the other units, and yeah, by far the most popular one. But this can run up to 3000 watts at any one time. So most double induction hobs, hair straighteners, air fryers.
Right.
No
We'll be
problem.
putting it through the test, putting it through his paces, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And we've got a deal for our subscribers on this one, Andy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, what we can use the code RR10
Yeah.
and give them a 10% discount.
Absolutely, yes. So we're the distributors for the Clayton Power unit. So if you go onto the Transporter HQ website, you'll see Clayton Power anyway, or just search Clayton Power. So if you use the code RR10 at the checkout, that will give you 10% off anything Clayton Power. So whether it's the unit, whether it's the battery, the remote control, the brackets, the cable kits, everything.
Brilliant. Look at that. Fantastic. I appreciate that, mate. Thank you so much. So there's a link in the description, guys. Go and have a look at these Claytons. These are fantastic. I'm going to be telling you way more about this going forward. and how powerful they are. But the number one thing that these are better than the power stations that we see is the 12-volt system, I understand, on this, isn't it?
It's how quickly they charge.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, those power stations, you plug them into your cigarette lighters or your 12-volt system, and they trickle charge and they take a long time. But these charging straight from your battery, from your main vehicle,
Yeah.
your DC-DC charging is just so much quicker, and your ability to charge from solar is so much quicker than those power packs.
And we said how small it is, and most converters are going to this now rather than all the separate units because they're much easier.
Yeah, this is obviously all boxed up with protection around it, so it's even smaller than that inside here.
Yes.
Yeah, anybody that's doing a decent high-end conversion now, this is the way to go because it allows you to be gasless. You can have induction hobs, you still have a diesel heater, but it takes up a lot less space, a lot less time to install it, and weight saving as well, and the labour and the additional issues of having to have habitation certificates with gas and all that, you don't need it with this.
There it is, Transporter HQ, guys, RR10, link in the description. We recorded so much at our visit to Transporter HQ, including Andy showing us his brand new Porsche that he's ripped all the suspension off and put air suspension on, and he also showed me his Tesla powered transporter that he's working on. So listen, we put a video of our visit to Transporter HQ on our Stephen Lynn's channel. There'll be a link to that in the description. We love our Clayton. It's perfect for this little micro camper build. If we'd gone down the Victron route, this whole kitchen cabinet would have been full with the Victron gear, but instead we've still got room to have the electronics for this screen up here. We've still got the tap and the sink right over here. In here we've got our grey and our fresh water, and right underneath the Clayton is where we store the air fryer. It's perfect.
Thank you so much for coming along with us on this lovely little day date that we've had.
It's been lovely, and we hope we've explained a little bit more, answer your questions about our ID Buzz. It really is perfect for us, whether we're using it as a day van or an occasional camper van.
If you do have any more questions, leave them down in the comments. We'd love to read them and see if we can address them as well.
And don't forget, there's a link in the description to save you 10% on all the Clayton kit.
Now that is definitely an advantage this van has over the Contiki.